It's New Year's Eve, and the morning edition is live. On today's show, a recap of the Prime Minister's address on his administration's first 100 days in office and the way forward. More than 200 new COVID cases on record. We have the latest crime statistics, and we're just hours away from ringing in 2022. So let's get the morning started off right.
New Year's Eve, just hours away. I'm ready for New Year's Eve. You can see here, we've got our New Year's Eve celebrations unlocked here at the ZNS Studios. And we've got a great show for you, 2021, an eventful year, the dreadful pandemic, a lot of sorrows, a lot of pain. I lost my dad. I'm sure there are a lot of things that we can reflect on for 2021. There's been some ups, some valleys, some peaks. A dry period, but nevertheless, 2021, in a few hours, we're going to say goodbye to 2021, man. And I'm sure all of you are optimistic about 2022. I'm optimistic about 2022 and what it holds for me. And I'm sure 2021 will remain in the history books for quite some time. All right, good morning to you. Hope everything is going well. And I know you guys out there preparing for New Year's Eve. What are you guys doing for New Year's Eve? A number of persons I spoke to a few minutes ago say they're going to watch night service online. They're not going to go in person to person watch night service, but they're going to watch and view the services online, which is a very good thing to do with the raging pandemic. And many of you have fears about the Omicron variant, so that's a very good thing. But 2021, goodbye. And I know many of you also ready for Junkanoo. We're going to have Junkanoo right here this morning on the Morning Edition. You know, Morning Edition, we do it big. So a lot of great things happening on today's show. The final show, guys. Could you believe it? We made it. The final show for 2021. So it's going to be a great morning, and definitely want you to stick around and keep my company, all right? So definitely stay tuned for more right here on the ZNS Network. What we're going to do is head to the streets. It's New Year's Eve. That calls for a good party, right? Lloyd, how is your New Year's Eve wrapping up? What's happening on the streets?
Well, of course, good morning, Desmond, and good morning, Bahamas. It's just a few hours to go before the big day, as we said earlier. And today, you're getting your final look at traffic for 2021. This one, of course, coming in from Shirley Street near the exit for Collins Avenue. And already this morning, as you can see right behind me, just a few cars trickling along this major thoroughfare. We expect throughout the day, in areas like this, downtown, as well as Western New Providence, and even Paradise Island, those areas are going to be packed today as many persons head on out to those New Year's Eve celebrations. And so, of course, we want to advise many motorists as you're making your trot to those destinations to drive safely and with caution, as accidents do tend to happen. Just yesterday, as we spoke with police, they informed us that on days like this, it's an increased chance of accidents, and so motorists need to be extra careful while traversing. Finally, on days like today as well, it's very easy to be tempted to drive and drink. And so, of course, we want to encourage every driver not to drink and drive. Wait until you get to those destinations to enjoy yourselves. And if you find yourself getting a little excited, of course, find an alternative driver. Again, no major accidents reported around the Capitol. But again, we do want to encourage persons going out to those New Year's Eve celebrations to head on out early to avoid any possible delays. Be in place in time, of course. I would encourage you to be out there at least an hour ahead to enjoy those festivities that's ahead of the 2022 celebrations. I know, of course, you guys can see I have my hat on, and I'm going to be celebrating 2022, saying goodbye, good riddance to 2021 forever. That's a final look at your traffic report for 2021 coming in from Shirley Street. Desmond, back to you in studio.
Good wrap up there, Lloyd, and you said it right. Drinking and driving is not a good combination, so be careful out there. On the outside, a robust high-pressure system situated east of the Bahamas will continue to produce tranquil conditions across the islands today. All areas, sunny, warm conditions, a stray shower or two possible. The daytime high, 84 degrees Fahrenheit, overnight low, 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's a look now at your extended forecast.
You don't need no affirmation from nobody. No, sir. No, on your body. Confidence and sex appeal.
Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, says drastic measures taken to counter COVID-19 will not return in the year ahead. His comments came during a nationally televised address on Thursday, which spoke to his administration's first 100 days in office. The Prime Minister says the way forward must be to encourage and sustain economic activity.
Our economic crisis has been so prolonged and so severe that I am not considering any serious shutdown of economic activity. As I've said, many Bahamians are earning their first steady paychecks in a long time. Blunt instruments like shutting our borders or prolonged nationwide lockdowns are off the table.
207 new COVID-19 cases recorded in the Ministry of Health's latest release, along with one additional death. The new data reflects 192 cases in New Providence, 13 in Grand Bahama, 1 in Abaco, and 1 in Exuma. 34 of the new cases have a history of travel within the past 14 days. There are currently 1,773 active cases. 23 persons are hospitalized, 1 of them in intensive care. The latest COVID-19 victim is a 72-year-old male of Grand Bahama. The death toll stands at 717. The Bahamas will not be adopting the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's new shortened guidelines for quarantine and isolation protocols, at least not yet. Minister of Health and Wellness, the Honorable Dr. Michael Darville, says local health officials are conducting their own review, but says consideration is being made for this group of workers.
Much discussions is going on, particularly with our first responders. It's very difficult in our hospital to have the bulk of the staff out when there's a possibility to bring them back in earlier. Likewise, for our police officers, our immigration officers, our custom officers, all of these individuals are necessary for the country to function. So we're looking very closely at the new CDC guidelines, and we will definitely have to take into consideration what is happening around the world and begin to adjust our protocols to what is going on.
Crime statistics issued on Thursday by Commissioner of Police Paul Roll indicate that murders are up significantly this year. That increase stands at more than 40%.
We have investigated 119 incidents of homicides thus far in 2021, compared to 68 in 2020. There were 103 murders in New Providence, 13 in Grand Bahama, and 3 in the Family Islands. For the month of December 2021, we recorded 12 homicides. Fatal gunshots remain the leading cause of death.
Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Ginger Moxie, is optimistic that the Davis administration can secure a better deal when it comes to the sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort. She weighed in on the matter after government terminated the deal for the property's sale to Royal Caribbean.
I wouldn't say we're back at square one, because there were others who were interested in purchasing. It just so happened that that deal caused them to not be able to move forward. And so I think we're at a good place, and things should be moving forward from this point on.
As an artist, I travel all over the world, and I find inspiration all around me. From the people, and especially the environment. I love the Bahamas with all its natural beauty. From Abaco in the north to Inagua in the south, and all the wonderful and colorful islands in between. But we must all do our part to keep the Bahamas healthy and clean. now and for the future generations. That's why I want you to find a little time to do your part. I'm doing my part because I care. Do you?
Andros is the #1 bone fishing destination on our planet. Sports fishermen visit our flats every year to participate in one of the most fulfilling outdoor activities known to man, fly fishing. And guess what? It's 100% sustainable. Without areas like the west side of Andros, sustaining this industry would be absolutely impossible. So let's take care of nature, and nature will take care of us.
Welcome back. 2021, no doubt, was an eventful year. The raging, dreadful COVID-19 pandemic continues to impact the social and economic fabric of the Bahamas. With vibrant signs of economic growth, what lies ahead and what is the economic outlook for 2022? Well, to help us dissect all of these issues is financial analyst and chief executive officer of the Fidelity Group of Companies, Goran Bo. Mr. Bo, happy New Year's Eve. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Edition.
Always a pleasure with you, Desmond. And don't age me yet. I still only got one.
Owen, yes, all right, got it right. Well, the Bahamas is presently experiencing an uptick or rebound in visitor arrivals to pre-pandemic levels. In fact, major resorts, including the Atlantis and Bahama, are reporting high occupancy rates well into the new year. With the growing fears of the Omicron variant, do you think this rebound or recovery will continue into 2022? And what steps should the government take to safeguard the economy from these unexpected shocks?
It's important that we remain measured. I believe that we are hearing more and more from the scientists now that we're going to have to live with COVID-19 for an extended period of time. And so that means that when we look at our measures, our protocols, we have to not get into that knee-jerk reaction which causes panic and pandemonium. I believe that the positive signs in terms of our tourism product, we've seen a number of developments, Goldwyn, the Atlantis, Bahama opening the water park. There are a number of initiatives, Sandals, that is going to be opening in the new year that are on stream that should give us great reason for optimism. And as we look at our rules, regulations, etc., it's most important that the government articulates to the general population that we are, if you will, the ones who will determine our destiny. And if we behave ourselves, we make ourselves one of the safest destinations, because all destinations will have some risk, then I think we have a great opportunity to take advantage of the tourism rebound that's taken place. Not much we can do on the cruise ship front. I believe that, we're going to have to rely on the cruise ships and their own protocols, but certainly as a land-based destination and throughout the Family Islands, what we've seen with the vacation rental units, etc., there's great reason to see the rebound being sustained and beneficial to all.
Now, Mr. Bull, come January 2022, value-added tax will be reduced to 10%. What impact would this have on local consumers and the wider economy?
It comes with mixed messages and sometimes mixed emotions. Yes, there is going to be the introduction of this on breadbasket items, but it is going to be a reduction in items that were not considered breadbasket items. So ultimately, consumption is not only a science, but an art, meaning that there has to be positive momentum and economic stimulus. When you believe that the price of items is now lessened by the taxes the government are taking from you, then ultimately it gives you, if you will, the sentiment to spend a little bit more. I think we have to balance that by understanding where we are in our economic, financial circumstances, both as a country and as individuals. That it doesn't mean that we go with reckless abandon and consume elements that we don't have the ability to pay for, but it does mean that if we are going to get out of a recession, that we have to contribute to the economic activity. And by doing that in a responsible manner, ensuring that we are not, if you will, overextending ourselves, then I believe that you will find that a reduction in the general cost of items is going to lead to a general uptick. And based on the information government has presented and the analysis that they've had performed by the Public Policy Institute at UB, I think we have some good things to look forward to.
Now, it was announced recently in the news that the central bank is seeking to eliminate check usage by the end of 2024. The national flag carrier, Bahamas Air, is going cashless come January 1st, 2022. How do we now, as consumers, adjust to this new economic climate?
You know, it's very interesting. For Bahamians who would have lived in Europe for the last 20 years and persons who would have lived in North America, certainly Canada, maybe not so much the United States, cash and checks, you pull those out in most of those jurisdictions, they look at you as if you were a foreign alien. And so ultimately, when we think about the elements of fraud, the risk in terms of having cash in your pocket, etc., those elements are mitigated when you get more comfortable with the digital tools that are available. Everyone has an iPhone, a Samsung phone, everyone has an Android phone, everyone has access to these devices now. And if you look at it in terms of simply saying that your money is not, if you will, any less valuable, it is just being used in a different mechanism, then you will have an appreciation that it becomes more efficient. The banks ourselves, and I speak as a bank, we have to make sure that we are sending the right message, that our fee system is one that encourages the use of digital means, the use of electronic transfers, the use of cards, the use of digital wallets, etc. And so we have a responsibility as, I'm going to say, corporate citizens to ensure that our message is consistent with the practice. And certainly for my institution, that is one that I will ensure that we do, that we make it as cost efficient as possible to take on these new digital elements. And we've seen it in Europe and the US, where they've actually mandated to a certain extent that certain electronic means have to be at a bare bottom pricing.
Mr. Godwin Bull, President, Chief Executive Officer of the Fidelity Group of Companies, always insightful. Thank you so much for coming on the Morning Edition.
And wishing you all a blessed new year, and hopefully it's healthy and prosperous for us all.
Yes, all the best to you. Well, New Year's Eve celebrations set to take place across the country, and one local lodging facility is hoping to make an unforgettable impact to keep guests coming back while anchoring the brand as a leading resort in the country. Lloyd Allen has more.
We're seeing some really strong demand for that Christmas week leading into New Year's. We'll probably sell out. We're thinking at this point. Right now we're on the books about 60%.
Margaritaville Beach Resort Nassau is among a number of local resorts banking on occupancy surge for the holidays. In fact, Director of Sales and Marketing Hal Davis hopes to wow visitors this year through its New Year's celebrations to build on the brand's reputation of casual luxury and to create return guests moving forward.
So we're so excited about New Year's Eve. This will be our first New Year's here celebration. We're going all out. We're going to have all kinds of fireworks. And when you look where we're located right in between Atlantis and we're located in between Baha Mar. So we're bookend by either one. So now you're going to get to not only enjoy our fireworks, but it's the perfect spot to also see Baha Mars and Atlantis.
Over the course of the evening leading to the big day, Davis says a number of activities will be ongoing to entertain guests, including dining options.
Followed by just a spectacular evening. You can come out on the boardwalk. You'll have the best view right on the water to see the fireworks from. We'll also have private select seating arrangements. So maybe, you want to come down with a group or, a company might want to take these private seating areas, and that will have a private server as well as an open bar. So it'll be spectacular.
In his opinion, the staff are the greatest assets that will help the company to compete locally among giants in the industry.
I've only been here a short time, but I've been blown away by how friendly and accommodating and just personable they are. I think it's really our biggest asset in the hotel, and I'm so proud of them for what they've accomplished here.
Head chef at JWB Steakhouse, Charles Colbert, says he is excited about tonight's celebrations, which will showcase the best of local and brand offerings.
We try to use local ingredients as much as we can because, you have to stay within the aspects of the franchise.
But with the new year just hours off, what does 2022 look like for the resort?
We're seeing some good pickup for the first quarter of next year. Already the first week of January is looking very strong, and we expect as the weather gets worse and worse in the States that we'll see that demand just get stronger and stronger throughout time.
Well, definitely going to check that out. As we head to the break, we take a look back in today in Bahamian history. On New Year's Eve, 1937, the British Colonial Hotel officially opened its doors. Also on New Year's Eve, 2001, 71-year-old Dame Ivy Dumont was confirmed as the country's 6th Governor General since independence and the first female to hold the post.
Do you have so much to do that you don't have a lot of time on your hands and haven't gotten around to getting your COVID-19 vaccine yet? Well, if you haven't, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine may be the one for you. It's one and done, and you're fully vaccinated for now. Yes, you only need one jab of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine to lower your risk of severe illness and death from COVID-19. Make your appointment now.
As an artist, I travel all over the world and I find inspiration all around me. From the people, and especially the environment. I love the Bahamas with all its natural beauty. From Abaco in the north to Inagua in the south and all the wonderful and colorful islands in between. But we must all do our part to keep the Bahamas healthy and clean, now and for the future generations. That's why I want you to find a little time to do your part. I'm doing my part because I care. Do you?
So glad to have you with us. Well, New Year's Eve is a time to give thanks for all that has happened and pray for what is yet to come. And what better place to do it than in the house of the Lord? Well, Watch Night services will take place all over the country tonight, albeit in a different kind of way than most have become accustomed to due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this morning, we are joined live by Pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Cathedral on Blue Hill Road, the Reverend Dr. Philip McPhee, who's no stranger here to the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas. Welcome, sir. Happy New Year's Eve to you.
Thank you so much. It's a joy to be here once again.
Well, you are aware of last year, this time, a very eventful moment indeed. Last year, this time, we were in a place where in-person church was virtually shut down and everyone was online. The situation has gotten a bit better this year. How will you celebrate, and how do you encourage parishioners out there to celebrate?
Well, the first thing we must recognize is that we are a Christian nation. We believe that God is supreme in our lives, in our nation as a whole, and indeed in the world. We support the opportunity to worship. The Bible speaks to it. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him and bless his name. We believe that because our nation has been blessed. And if we look at what has happened over the last 2 years, we can see a definite change. The church recently has come back in a tremendous way in terms of in-house worship. I believe in-house worship is very important to this nation, as well as we must abide by the guidelines set down by our government, our Prime Minister. But it is very important that we do not forsake the assembling of ourselves in corporate worship. And that's important to us.
So you're encouraging those pastors to institute the appropriate protocols within their assemblies, but if parishioners want to watch night services online, they can do so responsibly.
Oh, yes. I have a problem when we talk about the church, the Christian faith, believing that the church does not know how to obey rules and regulations. That was a sad indictment on the church in previous months. I believe it was a wrong decision. I believe it hurt those who put it forth, and as a result of it, you can see our nation rebounding in a very positive way. I believe that the church must never lose its position in our nation. It's important that we do that so that the effect of worship does not diminish within our framework of worship.
Reverend McPhee, we're still in a raging pandemic, COVID-19. A number of persons are still unemployed. As we head into 2022, what's your message for residents who are still unemployed, still sorrowful, doubtful, and very not optimistic? What message do you have for them this morning?
Keep the faith and run the race. The same God that brought us through all the generations that we have experienced so far is the same God that is in charge now. We are very much concerned, but if you listen to our TV and radio, you hear about a nation that is under attack by young men and young women who seemingly don't fear God. We grew up in a nation that reverence one another and reverence God as our Savior and our deliverer. We must not give that up. There's still hope. And tonight, you will hear that hope preached over the whole vast variety of our nation and the world. And so we want people to go to church, go to a church and abide by rules, but give God thanks for what He has done in our lives.
Thank you very much, Pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Cathedral on Blue Hill Road, the Reverend Dr. Philip McPhee. Thanks again for joining us on the Morning Edition. And we're back after this break. New Year's has traditionally been a time for Junkanoo. For the past couple of years, though, COVID-19 has shut down this national expression. This year, there will be a virtual event, but for many, there's nothing like the real thing, right? The Sting Junkanoo group has always been known as the fun group on Bay, and this morning we're joined by a couple of the group members in the backyard here at ZNS. They're standing by live with our Lloyd Allen.
Well, of course, good morning again, Desmond. Good morning, Bahamas. We're in the ZNS parking lot, and I'm here with none other than Johnson. He's a member of the Sting Junkanoo group. Now, you know, of course, they've been on break, sabbatical, we want to call it for almost 2 years now. What have you Junkanoos been doing for the past 2 years?
Well, it's been rough, man. You know, the first year we didn't do much of anything other than produce our song. And then coming on to the second year, we produced the song again, but we've been trying to, we did a live performance, live release, you know, and normally we would have our social programs, but we weren't able to do anything. So we weren't able to do much other than produce 2 songs in the last 2 years.
Well, of course, we were out here this morning, and I was hoping to see some Junkanoo girls out here, but Super is out here with some of his boys. Hopefully, that might make up. It's New Year's Eve. Talk to us about what you're going to be performing today.
We're just going to give you a little touch of Junkanoo, man. You know, this is the last show for the morning show, and we appreciate being here just to close out and, you know, give you a little taste of Junkanoo. Seeing that we don't have any Junkanoo, you know, so we're going to give you a little taste.
Well, country Super. Got to make it a good. All right, so without any further ado, Sting at his.
that's a wrap for our show for this morning. Happy New Year's Eve. Be sure to tune in to the ZNS Network for news as it happens. TV and radio updates throughout the day. Then you can tune into the Northern Edition at 6:30 and then the Bahamas Tonight at 7. That's a wrap for us. A great morning and a great weekend. Happy New Year's Eve. Happy New Year. Leave you with a look at the hardworking staff of the Morning Edition. Good morning to you.
How do we up there? Sorry, I'm 2 minutes. Yeah.